The thing that's so interesting about people is that we've multiplied our dominance hierarchies. If you take an animal that's got a rather static behavioral pattern, then there's a single hierarchy. Elephant seals are a good example of that. So elephant seals, the males are absolutely massive. They're way, way bigger than the females. And they basically have harems, roughly speaking. And they use physical prowess as their marker of status, essentially. And obviously size is a huge part of that, because otherwise the male elephant seals wouldn't be as, they're massive, these things. They're absolutely enormous. And so it's just power / health, maybe aggression, something like that. It's whatever makes them more suitable for the kind of physical combat that elephant seals engage in. And the degree to which power is associated with dominance status in those sorts of situations seems to be associated with the size differential between males and females. So the more power is an issue with regards to male competence, the larger the males are compared to the females, and the more likely the males are going to have a harem relationship with the females. And you see that a little bit in human beings because men are bigger than women. They're not overwhelmingly bigger, that's sexual dimorphism. There's some men that are smaller than some women, but on average men are taller and they have more upper body strength and so forth. So there is a power element to male competition, but it's not as extended as it would be among animals, say like elephant seals. So in the elephant seal, maybe there's one stable set of traits that's being selected for that makes the males more likely to reproduce. But human beings, we're very weird creatures because we're so conceptually flexible. And so what seems to have happened, maybe males started selecting each other in dominance competitions for something like cognitive flexibility and conscientiousness. It's something like that. So that would be the ability to abstractly represent the world, and then the ability to operate effectively within it, to represent yourself socially in a way, and then to carry through with that, because that enables people to trust you. So it's something like that. And so that produced cortical expansion, and then women were selecting men who were good at that, and that produced cortical expansion. And then there's an arms race between women and men with regards to intelligence. So the women kept up, or they certainly kept up with intelligence as the evolutionary cycle continued. But one of the consequences of selection for cortical expansion and increased cognitive flexibility was that the number of dominance hierarchies that human beings could produce started to multiply, right? Because there's all sorts of ways that you can be successful. You think about how many ways you can be successful in a modern culture, and you can be successful in dimensions that aren't really even associated with each other. So you can be successful socially, that's what an extrovert would do. You could be successful in terms of intimate relationships, that's what an agreeable person would do. A disagreeable person would be more successful with regards to competition. A person who's high in neuroticism would be trying to protect themselves and to establish some sort of security. An open person would be looking for a flexible, creative environment. And so there's this multiplicity of ways that you can establish a dominance hierarchy and be successful in it. And if you're creative, you can come up with your own damn dominance hierarchy, which is exactly what you're doing if you're creative, right? You spin up a game that's your game, and then you make the rules. And that's hard, because if you make a new game with new rules, it's hard to monetize it. But you could be the best at playing that game, and so that's a huge advantage to being creative if you can pull it off. So then you think what's happened among human beings is the multiplication of the set of possible dominance hierarchies, so it's become very broad, and then you could say what's driving selection now is the ability to be successful across multiple sets of dominance hierarchies. And that accounts, at least in part, for our cognitive flexibility. And so that's really what a human being is. A human being is a creature that has high potential for succeeding across a very wide range of potential human dominance hierarchies. And so that gives us our transformative psyche. That's the niche that we've both produced and occupy. And I think it's out of the hero mythology emerges fundamentally. Because I think what the hero is, the mythological hero, is a representation of that part of the psyche that's particularly good at being successful across sets of dominance hierarchies. It's a very, very biological way of thinking about it. And I've thought about this for a long time. I can't see any way that just can't be the case. And how else could it work? If we had a fixed behavioral pattern like beavers, you're the most successful beaver if you build the best dam, it's like fine, then you know what's going to be selected for. But that isn't what people are like, and it's also why we're so multi-purpose. We have hands. What's a hand for? What's the evolutionary function of a hand? You can't specify that. You could say it's something like The hand is useful for doing a whole bunch of different things with. Well, and mouth, tongue, same thing. What are words for? It's the same thing. They're for communicating a very wide range of information. It's something like that. So we're these weird general purpose animals. We're not great at any one thing, but we can swim better than most terrestrial animals. We can run faster than most animals, and we can certainly run longer, like a human being can run a horse to death over the course of a week if they're in good shape. We're really good at being a multi-purpose entity, like a rat. They call rats weedy species because they can be anywhere. They don't have a specific niche. There's animals down in the Amazon that are specialized for like one tree or one type of tree in one tiny little area. That's not what human beings like, is we're like cockroaches or rats, which is a nasty comparison, but we can go anywhere and thrive.